It's Lucas from the S2 Live Show, and today we have another guest. His name is Lasell King. He went through an incredible transformation, as you can see right here. He went from being kind of chubby and pretty unhealthy and had a lot of skin issues to being very fit by becoming vegan and changing his training and diet. And what he's doing right now, he's a personal trainer and nutritionist. He's helping a lot of people to achieve their body of their dreams. And in this interview, we go over a lot of different topics, ranging from nutrition, training, ethics. You're definitely in for a treat. So without further ado, let's get started. Nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
So just for the viewers out there who don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I'm Lasell. I work as a personal trainer and a nutritionist. I'm vegan, and yeah, I guess that's why I ended up here.
Since when have you been vegan? How long?
More than 2.5 years now.
2.5 years?
Yeah, since 2016, April 2016.
Why did you?
Well, that was quite a journey, to be honest. Like, I remember in 2015, that's where I basically really started thinking about things, like the way that we view things. And I ended up with nutrition. Yeah. Like, sooner or later, it happens. So I remember back then I thought, like, looking at it holistically, in a holistic way. And I ended up with veganism, but then I took like a step back because I thought, like, nah, vegans are like nutcases. You know, that was my thought. Like, no way. And protein and whatever, like the regular stuff.
Yeah, the protein issues.
Exactly. And yeah, then 2016 came. I remember it was like April. And I heard about an interview. I watched an interview from like Russell Simmons. He's like, in the hip hop community, he's a legend. And he talked about veganism. And he's a very open-minded guy and not necessarily someone who has an agenda. And he said, and he talked about all the benefits about veganism and all the things that's going on behind the scenes. And well, then I started doing my research, and I watched Conspiracy. I read I read about China study. I read about the China study, and I read about, and I did a lot of research myself because I tried to be as independently as I could possibly be, but trying to keep an open mind. And I saw clips from Earthlings, and then that was it.
Earthlings was pretty, pretty tough.
It was, yeah. I didn't watch the whole because there's no need to watch. Like, you get it after watch Earthlings for 10 minutes, and it's tough to just after that. It's tough to justify. Like, you really have to protect an old identity. If after Earthlings, it's tough to rationalize. Let's put it that way. But like after Conspiracy, I remember the night after Conspiracy, that was it.
So for you, it was basically like a mix of ethics on one side and also the health reasons. Okay.
Exactly. I think ethic was the initiator, and then I read about all of the health benefits, and then I was like, that's it, I'm gone.
Oh, for me, it was exactly the other way around.
Yeah.
We started with the health reasons, and then at some point we started watching the movies as well.
Yeah.
Like Dominion, for example. That was really...
I haven't seen it.
That was pretty tough, man.
I haven't seen it. Yeah, that's a tough one too.
Yeah, that's I think even more intense almost. It's
more than Earthlings?
Yeah, we had to split it on 2 days pretty much.
Oh, wow.
Very intense. So yeah, and what were some of the changes that you noticed initially when you became vegan?
I mean, after a couple of weeks, like physically. First, I want to talk about the physical changes. After a couple of weeks, I felt great. My energy level was great, and my skin got a lot better.
That's what a lot of, yeah.
And I always, like throughout my teenage years, I always struggled with skin issues. Like, I remember my back and everything looked messed up. Yeah. And so the skin and the energy level were like one of the first big changes. And after a few weeks, which is not a lot, I mean, considering if you poison your body for years, it's like after a few weeks, you already see big improvements.
So what was your diet like before?
Messed up.
So the typical broccoli, chicken and rice, or?
Nah, that would have been healthy. I was living a nomad life, and I was living, you know,
lots of junk food.
Yeah, exactly. Like, every now and then I eat well, but that was by accident. Like, there was no consciousness towards food at all.
So did you start training after you became vegan or before?
When I was 16, I started with strength and resistance training for like 2 years, something like that. I got in decent shape, but then it all started like the regular stuff. I need to get money, I need to go study, whatever, the usual program. And so that's how I ended up living a pretty unbalanced life. And yeah, so now I'm here.
Because I think you have a pretty interesting story to tell as well. Like you had like you said, you were a digital nomad.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
You've been all over the place pretty much.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you made the change to becoming a little bit more steady and also to the vegan diet.
Yeah.
So, for example, like right now, what's a typical day? What does it look like? What is your food like? What is your structure like when it comes to training?
Okay, like a typical day for me, like I wake up early, usually around 6 a.m. And the first thing I do is I drink water with apple cider vinegar, Himalayan salt, lime, and pepper and turmeric. So like half a liter. Then I do the usual. And if I'm not too busy, I meditate in the morning. But if I have a client, then a lot of times I'm busy. So I leave the house and I train client. And if I have another client, train him as well, or her. And then I work out myself. And then usually it's around noon. That's where I get home and eat, because I don't eat breakfast. Eat, spend time with my family. And then I hit the road again. But usually at the noontime, a lot of times that's when I meditate. And train the next client. And then come back home and spend time with the family again. Do like stuff like reading and writing. I write a blog. And I read almost daily, pretty much daily. If I don't read books, I read research. And that's it. Then I spend time with my kids, basically. That's a normal life for me.
You're doing intermittent fasting as well?
Yes.
Which is pretty interesting because like everybody who's been so far on the show was doing intermittent fasting.
Yeah, we just talked about it.
I know.
It's pretty crazy.
It's an interesting theme that's going on right now.
Yeah. It's like you can see the trend definitely. Yeah.
My goal is like in January, definitely once I'm settled in Bangkok, then I'm definitely going to start intermittent fasting as well.
I recommend it definitely. Like also the guy that actually started it. Like I know a lot of guys think that other people came up with it, but the guy that started is Martin Beckham. He's a pretty interesting character, I'd say. I don't necessarily agree with his choice of food, but like when it comes to strength and resistance training and the diet, intermittent fasting, you can go back to the internet and figure it out. Like anybody who's interested in it, Google it up. Like that's where it came from.
And it also saves you a lot of time, I guess.
Right? Definitely. Like once you get the hang of it, it's like, in my opinion, it's the best tool for a sustainable fitness lifestyle. Definitely. Like there's no way around it. And I tried it all. I tried the usual bodybuilding, 4 to 6 meals, stuff like that. I tried that, and it's tough to balance. Like I don't have time for all that stuff, you know. I have life. I have a family life as well, and so. Yeah, that definitely eating big meals 2 or 3 times a day. That's what works for me, and I've seen it work with a lot of people as well that are trained and stuff like that.
Touching up on that point, like a lot of people watching this, they're balancing a job, maybe studying, and a lot of people are complaining about that they don't have a lot of time to be healthy, like to go to the gym and stuff. But you said you're not only working, you have kids, you're working on a side business as well, like you're writing blogs and everything. And you wake up early pretty much. So what are some of the things that you do on a daily basis to save time or you must have some good structures in place for sure.
When it comes to that, I do have a structure every day, but not as fixed. I don't like forced structure. You know, I don't like to do things at 8 p.m. every day. It doesn't work for me. If it works for you, great. It doesn't work for me. I like to do things daily that are important to me, and I like a rhythm like that. But, well, basically the structure for me is like meditation is set. Like I try to do that every day at least once, a lot of times twice a day. And then training, some physical exercise, depending and what cycle I want to. And I still feel like I'm at the beginning stage, and when it comes to strength and resistance training. So to me, that's just the beginning. I'll have more to say in a couple of years, that's for sure. And so, yeah, but structure definitely is important, especially if you want to have a balanced life and you want to balance family. You know, the regular family life is a thing for me as well. You know, I'm not just a public person, or, you know, I have stuff to do, I have responsibilities, and I like to spend time with my kids as well and my wife, so it goes without saying. So you definitely have to cut out a lot of things that are not necessary. So if people tell me they don't have time, it doesn't go with me. Like, I'm sorry. Like, to me, I don't take offense by it, or I actually feel bad for them. Simply because I've been in that cycle, and I've been in there. I understand. I was there a few years. I was the one who said, I don't have time, I have to get money. I understand. But the problem is that actually is just a result of the system that we grew up in. Because if you think about it, if people say they don't have time to be healthy, to live healthy, to eat healthy, but they immediately can tell you how to make more profit for a company, that's when you know we have an issue with the system. Like, that's the way it is, and
it's going to catch up with them in the future at some point.
And I have that argument with clients all the time, because they tell me I don't have time and whatever. Like, what are you doing 24/7 that you do not have time for nurturing your body the way it's supposed to be? Like, I understand that you have to make your money or whatever, but if you focus so much on your job and your profession, knock yourself out, I understand. But don't forget your health, because a lot of time it's too late changing the habits. You know, like once they turn probably in their late 30s or early 40s, it's very tough to reverse habits. It's very tough. Like, people underestimate that. They always feel like they can negotiate with their future. It's not gonna work. Like, when you're 40 something, it's very tough. It's possible. I've seen it before. I've had great conversations with vegans that turned vegan with 50. I was happy to see them. But once you're 40 and you have habits that you build for 20 or 30 years, that's the tough one. It's tough to get rid of that. So people should really, you know, not take their health for granted, because it will, like you said, it will catch up.
Because you also mentioned that you trained a long time, and I'm also training. I'm training a long time, and I made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, definitely.
That's why, like, when you look at the time that I already spent training, I should look very different.
Yes.
What are some of the mistakes that you've done, and how can you help people that watching this, for example, that's been training for like a year or two? What would you recommend them in order to prevent those mistakes, to start out better, and just to make a faster progress in the beginning?
Okay, so I mean, I started when I was 16 and I stopped when I was like 18 or 19, and after that there was no strength and resistance, almost none until my late 20s. So, and the reason why, like, one of the reasons I became a personal trainer is because of that, because I felt like I started out and I spent time and I read all the stuff, and I was like, I cannot grasp the objective truths in strength and resistance training. So I'm gonna do it myself, like, whatever it costs. And that was the attitude. That's how, like, and nutrition as well. That's how I ended up being a vegan. So to me, one of the most important things is compound movements. I don't care what any new strength guru tells you, what he wants to sell. It's very tough. Like, in the day and age we live in the internet, having reliable information is very tough, because people have an agenda. I understand people want to make the money, but it's very conflicting. If you sell people something, I understand you, like, but it's confusing. So compound movements are key. So I would even say, if you really have no time, focus on compound movements at least twice a week, and you'll be good. At least you'll be healthy. And that's how I structure my own training. I also have like elements of Olympic lifting in my personal training, but that's another story, and it's not necessary for everybody. But that's what I would say, and that's for everybody. I don't care what age you are. There's like compound movements are the thing to go, like 100%.
I would agree on that as well.
Yes, and after that, it's just figuring out macros and staying consistent. Consistency is key because there's a lot of distractions, and you also have you need some experience when it comes to like rep ranges, you know, and to me the next big thing for me is also hormonal balance. Like once I figured out how hormones work and how they are interrelated, then that raised my conscious towards it. Like whenever I consume something, I think about my insulin level, I think about leptin, I think about melatonin and sleep and whatever. Like it's not for everyone, but that's me. Right? Like after that, it was so that's easier for me to stay conscious of the things, how I live, how I consume things. Yeah, but basically, that's hormonal balance is a great topic also as well.
So you mentioned consistency. What are some of the tips that you could give people to stay more consistent in the beginning?
Honestly,
because I mean, the training partner is definitely getting like a good training partner. It's not easy, but it's definitely very helpful for consistency.
I will say something very controversial, but I think most of the time having a training partner is just a waste of time.
And it really depends.
It depends. In your case, you got a twin brother. That's a good training partner to have.
But we do very different workouts. That's the only issue. But we go at the same time to the gym, so at least that's something.
Okay, yeah. But of course, there are benefits to having a training partner, no doubt. Absolutely. But I think for most people, that's just another excuse to add. And I see it all the time. Probably 8 or 9 out of 10 people, a training partner is not the best choice for you. Because you will have another excuse to say why you not working out. I'm not working out because this person didn't come and so I don't feel like, nah, if you're serious about it, like everybody knows. Most people that know me, they know usually when I go to the gym, you can come with me or not, but I will be there for sure. Regardless of what's on your mind or you wanted to train or you're going to be like, oh, I have a date, I'm not going to come. Okay, that's good. I'm going to be there anyway. You know, like whatever goes on in your life, okay. Like there's always something going on in life that tries to throw you back. So you just have to stay consistent. And also it's very important that you stay consistent throughout a few months. And then you analyze what you can do better. You know, what can you improve? But and that's the tough part. You have to ignore a lot of advice because there's a lot of bro science going on in gyms nowadays. There's a lot of bro science, like 5 times 5 is the best, you know, or
there's no best program. That's the thing.
No, as long as you stay above 60% of your 1 repetition max when it comes to bodybuilding, you'll build muscle. Like that's fact. Like there's no arguing about that. But you have to really figure out what works for you, 100%. There is. I wouldn't say shortcuts because it always requires hard work and consistency, but it's so beneficial to anyone, definitely.
Probably, I would say that getting a good trainer is a great thing as well, but that's also really tough because if you go to the gyms, most of them, they have no idea.
100%.
They have no idea what they do.
Absolutely agree.
Like I wish that I would have gotten a good coach in my early years.
Me too. But I was honestly, I was too arrogant to take a coach. Yes, 100%.
And also, I didn't know anybody. That's the thing. Like if you go to a commercial gym in Germany, you know, McFit or something, there's nobody that has any idea pretty much.
But now if I look back at it, I would have saved myself a lot of time and a lot of money if I would have gotten a coach, at least for a few weeks, just to check myself and compound movements and stuff like that. 100%. Like that's a given. You like I can advise anyone, like at the beginning, get a coach.
That's money. I mean, it sounds expensive, but it's money well spent because we had Corin Sutton also and then Dave, and they are both great personal trainers. And if I could go back to my 17-year-old self, and I would force myself to hire them, I'm pretty sure I would look very different right now.
Yes,
that's the thing.
Absolutely, me too. And I feel like I started now almost 3 years back, and I feel like I wasted probably almost 2 years. Now this is like the first real cycle of real strength and resistance training with real knowledge. But I read a lot of research, I read a lot of books, and then I figured out my own program. But
what does it look like right now?
My workout routine? Well, right now, because for the next few months, I want to put on mass. So when I put on mass, I work out 4 times a week. That would works for me. So, and then I schedule around my training around also like what I got going on, but at least 4 times a week. Right now is a kind of upper lower body workout version because I also add Olympic weightlifting, which is a full body routine kind of.
So you do the snatch or clean?
I like power snatches. I like power snatches. Yeah. But also I had a seminar in Germany, Karlsruhe. They had great guys, so if anybody's interested, and they taught me how to do it because I wanted to learn it. And it's definitely not something you can learn from YouTube. However great you think you are, don't start with Olympic weightlifting and think that YouTube's gonna do the trick. It's not gonna work. But so, and I ended up with power snatches because also I like them a lot, like very explosive and they have some great benefits. So usually what I do is right now I do bench press. I schedule around bench press first day, then do some assistance work. Then I schedule around squats, and that's where I also do the power snatches. Then the next workout is press, military press. Also some assistant work where I also add volume because you need more volume.
And your back is on both pressing days probably?
Yes, but like it's not only back because it's more, like I said, because if you do power snatches, it's also back, you know, so, and then I do deadlift, so those are the 4, but also the assistance work is also like chin-ups, pull-ups, stuff like that, and also my weaker parts. Like right now I want to put in some mass on my biceps because I feel this too. So I have to put some work on that, or a little bit triceps. Depends. Like, but that's it. Regardless of what workout I'll do, it's gonna be around those exercises. And when I cut, when I'm on a diet, it looks differently. And I also only work out 3 times a week because I also focus on recovery a lot. Like if you want to get shredded, recovery is key. Like don't underestimate it.
And speaking of recovery, are there any specific techniques like foam rolling, massage, sauna?
Yes.
What else is there, like ice baths or something? Anything that you recommend, specific supplements or whatever?
I pretty much did all of it. But what I do on a regular basis, meditation is key because it lowers your cortisol level, stress level. And there's also a good book from Robert Sapolsky, I think his name is, Why Zebras Don't Have Ulcers.
I heard about that.
Yeah, like he really breaks down what stress does to our body in a very easy way. Like, you know, I mean, he's a Stanford professor, but he makes it very easy for people to understand. So I try to lower stress as much as possible. So meditation, foam rolling, of course, is good. I think it's a little bit overrated, but definitely good. So I do that as well. Sauna.
I go twice a week as a
I try to go almost every time after I work out.
So your gym has a sauna?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
It's like heaven.
So sauna is very important for recovery and it's great benefits. If you look it up in the research on sauna, it's a great benefit. And also I try to avoid stress as much as possible.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That's a big one. It's you really have to look how you spend your time, you know, that's very important. And also family helps calm down, you know, keeps you balanced and on the ground, keeps you humble.
Definitely. Yeah, that's pretty much the 3rd pillar because everybody always talks nutrition and training.
Yes.
But mindset and everything around it, pretty much like the recovery is almost as important pretty much.
100%.
If you don't believe that you can achieve a certain physique, like a lot of people, even like people who are clearly natural, people write below like you can't achieve this physique or something, and then they already set themselves up for failure. That's the thing.
Of course, like that mindset. I mean, understand. In the internet, everybody.
I know it's annoying,
but like right now, I actually enjoy it. Like I have already had multiple people asking me or saying that I was on steroids now. I mean, that's my first real year of strength and resistance training. I'm like, if you think I'm on steroids now,
that's the best compliment you can get.
Of course, but I still think it's ridiculous. Like, and also you can check if you have the data of someone, you can check if he's on steroids. There's the fat-free mass index. That's a good one. Yeah, I think a lot of fake naturals put out like cut off natural bodybuilding from the Instagram account after like the people know how like if you look for it, you'll figure out if somebody's natural regardless of what comes out of their mouth. And I try to really, I'm not against it. It's everybody's personal choice, but definitely. I cannot co-sign people selling products to a very young group of people claiming that they did it natural, because that's the fitness trick, you know, injecting testosterone and saying you're natural, and then put the product in front of the camera and be like, that's the way I did it. Like, but it's a personal choice. But if you do it knowingly, and I cannot co-sign it, and I will not be quiet about it.
Well, I mean, it's a tough decision, I guess, because it's like on one side it's your job,
of course,
and then it's also illegal to kind of what you're doing, pretty much. Yeah. So I know it's a hot debate, pretty much since fitness is on the internet. It's been going on under every fitness video. It's always like eat, clean, train hard. All these comments always. Yeah. The whole debate is pretty much as old as the fitness industry on the internet.
I mean, like I said, I'm not judging anybody because of it. I totally get it. I get it. All right, knock yourself out. But if you lie about it, like it's questionable, to say the least.
So what are your fitness goals for the future? Do you plan to do like a show, like a physique show or something? Or?
I was thinking about it, but to be honest, if I decide to go to a show, I don't go to a show to just be on a show. So if I go on stage, there would be something where I will have to be pretty much sure that I make at least top 5 or top 6, because it's not like my self-confidence is not dependent upon the opinion of somebody else that's over there judging me. But at least when I put in the work, you have to be top 5 or top 6. Plus, it has to be at least something where they support natural bodybuilding, and not just claim that they support natural bodybuilding. It has to be natural bodybuilding for sure, because I know some background stories where people are not natural and went to a natural bodybuilding competition. So, I mean, which is okay, as long as you're honest about which most of them are not, you know. But yes, I was thinking about it, but I haven't set a time there, like when it comes to this. So strength and resistance training wise, my goals are more towards how much weight I want to lift in a deadlift or in a squat or in a bench press.
So what are some of those numbers?
Well, for next year, I definitely, as long as I remain healthy, I will break more than 200 kilos in deadlift, which should happen in the next 4 to 6 months, which is big for me, because I just started like last year with real training, not some time wasting stuff. And then that's like, I focus mostly in my case on deadlift, and simply because I feel like every body type has a certain exercise that he's drawn to. Simply like somebody with short arms is always going to be a better bench presser. Like, so I have long legs. Someone like me, to me, have big numbers in squat. To me, it's a long way. Like once I go down there, it's a long way up. You know. Yeah. So I got long arms, so which is okay for a deadlift. So that's what I focus on.
Deadlift has always been my strongest.
Yes, for me as well. Like, so that's what I focus on mostly.
So yeah, we've been talking about your strength goals, your fitness goals. What are some of your goals in general for the future? Like when it comes to veganism, what do you want to achieve in your personal life, for example, like in your business life?
Yes, basically when it comes to veganism, just raising consciousness. And I think you cannot force this on people. It doesn't work. Yeah. I think most vegans have been through it, or some even are stuck in that loop. I understand the intentions are good, but it doesn't work. So we have to raise consciousness as a whole. That's like one of my main goals. Raising consciousness as a whole. Veganism is just one part of it. Privately, I try always looking for self-development, personal growth all the time. It's tough for me to go to sleep if I feel I didn't improve in some area in my life. So trying to be the best possible human being I can. And just spreading the message. But in a way that people, they have to figure it out for themselves. You know? I understand like some vegans are like, you have to press it, it's urgent, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah, everybody needs their own time, that's the thing.
Exactly. Like Gandhi said, you have to be you have to set the example. The
what
way you want to see the world, the change you want to see, that's who you have to be.
That's what I always say, like leading by example.
Yes.
The best thing you can, especially in the fitness industry, right?
Absolutely.
When you see there's a lot of vegans out there with really skinny arms. I mean, there's a lot of meat eaters out there with really skinny arms.
But as a vegan, people look twice.
Yeah, that's why
sure.
like if you have muscle like Corin Sutton or like everybody on our show pretty much, that encourages a lot more people to become vegan.
Yes.
Because it just destroys the old paradigm that you need a lot of that you cannot get big on a vegan diet pretty much.
You don't even need words. That's the key.
Yeah.
You don't have to go back and forth and start with irrational arguments, because once people see that and see the lifestyle, I mean, we have all the information we want to on our phone, in our pocket. So you can look it up, do the research yourself. And I understand it's a tough leap. It's a big leap for me as well. Like people that are watching this right now, they will not believe that's the same person speaking to you that was 5 years ago, 100%. I guarantee you.
Same for me.
They will not believe it. But the connection has to be made by yourself. It's well intended, but people, especially the message to non-vegans, is for me to understand that the intentions of vegans is good, regardless of how it's perceived. The intention is just about more compassion, and that it's not necessary. So that's what people have to understand. If somebody's interested in veganism, do your research, decide for yourself. I want people to think for themselves. That's why I say raising consciousness. Because once you raise consciousness, you also raise a conscience that wasn't there before. And that's what's necessary, in my opinion, to evolve as a human species, as a whole. Like, we really have to look at it holistically. And veganism is just one of the things, but it's an important thing nonetheless.
Yeah, for me personally, I also noticed that like my thinking completely changed once I became vegan. Like after a couple of months, I don't know what it is, maybe it gets all of the toxins out or something, but after a while you start to question the regular path. You start to notice what's wrong in society when it comes to food and stuff.
Yes.
What were some of the things that you noticed? Or like, tell us a little bit about your transformation.
I don't even know where to start because, we started what the change was physically, but actually the biggest change was mentally. Like when the mental shift after I became vegan, months after months, even now, it doesn't stop. Like every month there's something new because my mind is completely open. And now the thing is, that's where I have that, I'm very calm, more relaxed, because now I know my core values align with with who I am, as much as it possibly can in the society we live. We live in pretty big cities and civilizations nowadays. Like, our brain hasn't caught up yet. And question if it ever will. But the change, the positive change, the mental change as a vegan is incredible. Incredible. Because it's like a domino effect. You start becoming vegan, you're going to question everything else. And that's a journey. That's a long journey. And once you question everything, you just simply question everything. And you become very immune against bullshit, you know? Like and not because you don't take it personally anymore. Like the opinion people place on you when it comes to veganism, it's not their personal opinion. They're just following. That's why I don't take it personal. I know it's not you talking. You don't have your own opinion. Your opinion was given to you by society. I understand. I was there a couple years ago.
Yeah, we've all been there. That's the thing,
I've been there. I understand. So I try to look at it more with a compassionate view, you know? But I understand it's tough because, especially as a man, a majority of vegans yet are still more women. You know, of course. So I understand there's this masculine thing. Like men have to eat meat. All right, good luck with that. Do your research. You know?
Interesting, like everything that's connected to masculinity in society, like drinking beer,
Yes.
eating a lot of meat, like all of the things that actually fuck up your testosterone, that's exactly the thing that I call masculine in
Of
society.
course. I mean, look, like beer or something like your estrogen level and stuff like that. I mean, there's a reason why people get emotional when they're drunk. You know, there's a reason for it. And I think the message for as vegans, and we also have a responsibility, no doubt. That's a very important message for me. Like if somebody's looking at it right now as a vegan and feels helpless, I've been there a couple years ago. I understand. I've been there. But it's a responsibility. Like you cannot hide at home and be depressed about the state of the world and think something's gonna change. No, it's not gonna happen. You have to make it. Like that's very important for me because I know there's people out there who feel this way. You don't have to suffer like that. It's like, it feels bad, but like I said, it's a responsibility. And it's a very great responsibility, but it's a great one. Like, I love it. Like the lifestyle as a vegan and also connecting to people. It's great. Like, it changed. Like, the life completely changed. There's a connection, and I understand why some people, I was there a couple years ago when I thought vegan were nutcases. I said it in the beginning. I thought it myself, you know? So, but once you become vegan and you make the connection and the whole holistic view towards the planet, and it's like, it just feels like that's the way it's supposed to be. Like that is the way it's supposed to be. It's not the only solution. We still have a lot of problems as a human species, but it's a big solution. So
that's true. It's definitely a step in the right direction. And once you, like when you check, depending on the sources that you watch on Facebook or something, it seems like the whole world is turning vegan.
Yes.
Which is probably a little bit over exaggerated, but definitely the trend is it's growing so fast at the moment. What do you expect to be like? I don't know, like in Berlin, for example, right now, the city is super easy to
I love. Yeah, we've been there. It's great.
It's very easy. Like there's hundreds of restaurants pretty much where you can go. I don't know what big changes. Are there some big changes that you expect in the fitness industry in the next years?
Yes.
Because like one thing that I said, for example, I don't know if it's going to happen, but I personally think, for example, that Steve Cook is going to turn vegan in the next 2 years.
Steve Cook?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to bet on that.
Yeah.
I mean, Micro Sheet became vegan. That's a crazy thing.
Yes, a lot of people.
And he has a lot of reach. That's the thing.
Yes, a lot of people who have a lot of reach, and at least they're interested in veganism. So I'm very optimistic when it comes to the future. Especially, I put most of my faith is in the younger generation, because it's very tough to change a mind that has been programmed and not independent and not thinking for themselves. It's very tough to change that person. But young kids and like my kids and everything, like I have high hopes for the next generations to come. And that's why I'm more relaxed in that way, because I know it's gonna come. Like the future will confirm it. We just have to be patient. Because if you look at it 50 or 100 years ago, we believe things that are absolutely ridiculous now. Like 100 years ago.
Smoking is good or something.
Think about it, like doctors recommended smoking. Yeah, and a lot of people co-signed that. A lot of people didn't think for themselves. Especially in Germany. We don't have to talk about it, what happened in the past. People have been following. And later on, when you're old, and your grandkid's gonna ask you, what did you do? Why didn't you? And your answer is gonna be, well, I just followed. It's not gonna be enough. So I feel like also in the future, a lot of people will be responsible, will be held responsible once the shift happens. Like I said, like we believed a lot of things in the last 50, 100 years. And when it comes to female rights, I mean, think about it. 50 or 100 years was like, yeah, you have to be violent at home. Domestic abuse was like perfectly okay. Now people look back at it and think it's absolutely ridiculous. Well, that's going to be the same in 50 years when you look at the nutrition. Because people want to be so evolved and everything, and so with modern technology and everything. But when it comes to their food, that's when they want to go back to the past. That's when all of a sudden the hunter-gathering discussion comes up.
Yeah, that's
while
also
having a
why-
smartphone and driving a car. And now we're back to hunting and gathering. Yeah, take your pick. Yeah, like this, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, that's why I personally am also expecting that like this whole keto thing in a couple of years, it's gonna turn out, like people are gonna find out the real truth behind it.
Yes.
Because it cannot be sustainable on the long term to be eating only like meat.
Yes.
I don't know, the whole keto thing, it doesn't add up for me. And I don't know anybody who keeps it up for a long time.
I wrote about it. I wrote about it actually. I have an article that was pretty polarizing. And it's called Low Carb is Bullshit. And I stand by it. I will not change that. And actually there's a lot of leading cardiologists that confirmed it. It's not healthy. Actually, it could be detrimental to your health. Like that's...
Low carb, yeah.
Yes, I mean, think about it. Regardless of where you put a human being, there will be some source of complex carbohydrates.
Yeah, that's what I always said as well. Like there's so many fruits and vegetables on the planet. Like if they were not meant to be eaten, like that just doesn't add up, right?
And that's why I say a lot of people don't have an own opinion. So they're following some strengths guru who has social proof through followers or whatever, and they think that's the truth. But I think the only common truth, regardless of your upbringing, we have is research. So if cardiologists say low carb might be even detrimental to your health, that's a warning sign. And I urge anyone to really look it up. Where like keto is not the thing.
Even the Dr. Atkins who promoted it, I think he died from a heart attack or something. Right?
That's what they try to. Obviously, it's not official, but there's a lot of sources that say that he died on heart issues. There's a lot of, even I remember nutritionists in the past that died from heart issues, and they were all against veganism. I'm not going to mention any names because out of respect of their families, but there were people who actually said if he lives the way he talks, he will not be 70 years old. I'm sorry. But at the same time, the problem is that's the problem with the internet. You can just put that out there and people believe it and they're going to follow you. So that's a responsibility you have. That's a responsibility we all have. Yeah, so that's why I'm talking to you right now, because I feel like it's still necessary. People are still making very conflict, they spread very conflict messages when it comes to nutrition and strength and resistance training as well.
Yeah, that's why I'll go with this channel also, is to bring people who, like Natalia, who's a kickbox champion, or like
I've seen it.
Just to show people that you can be successful on a vegan diet, because a lot of people still don't believe it, that's the thing. So we just want to empower people, and that's why you're a great example as well. Like, you know a lot about nutrition, so if people want to contact you, if they want to get trained by you, if they want to follow you, or just if they want to contact you personally, what's the best way to contact you? Is it Instagram, Facebook?
Yeah, Instagram is usually pretty
I'm going to
good.
link it up either in the comments or somewhere.
Yeah, so I also have a blog where you can email me, melanin-broccoli.de, and Instagram, same, melanin broccoli. That's where people can contact me all the time. Also, every now and then I'm active. We talked about it before on Reddit. I like the Reddit community as well, so big shout out to them because they helped me a lot when I was starting out as a vegan. Yeah.
All right, yeah. I guess that's a good spot to wrap it up as well. I'm very appreciative to have you on the show.
Thank you.
And we're definitely going to do a second version as well, like once we find the time again.
All right.